Today, for the very first time ever, we're on the MaliciousCompliance subreddit, and I'm so excited for this. I've been meaning to make a video on here for the longest time. And yeah, today we're finally going to dive into this subreddit, and I hope you're excited, guys. Thank you again for all your support, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Apartment manager doesn't take cash for a 2-cent bill. Malicious compliance ensues. In 2019, I moved from an apartment complex in Celebration, Florida to a condo. As usual, when you move out of an apartment, you get a final bill, which includes your last month's prorated rent, deductions for damages, security deposit refunds, and the like. We paid it. The next month, I get a call from my wife who says we've got a follow-up bill in the mail from the apartment management company for 2 cents. We're both in the tech field, so we laughed that this company's IT department didn't catch the edge case of spending 50 cents in postage to collect 2 cents in revenue, but it happens. My wife prints out a copy of the bill. I grab 2 cents from the change jar. The apartment complex is on the daily drive, so I swing by the office. I walk in and I tell the manager I want to pay my last bill. I say it's 2 cents, so here's the bill and I have the 2 cents if you want it. The manager says we don't take cash, nothing else. There was an awkward pause. I say I don't expect you to take cash. I expect us both to have a laugh about how silly computer systems are and for you to write off the 2 cents because it'd cost you more to process the payment. She says, I'm not going to do that. Again, awkward pause. So you want me to write you a check for 2 cents and mail it and you're going to process that check? The manager says, yes, send us a check and we'll process it, and then walks back into her office to end the conversation. So I go home and I set up an automatic monthly bank account payment to my apartment complex for 3 cents, and then because I'm a programmer, I write some code to send a letter once per month saying, I'm so sorry, I've overpaid my bill, please send me a check for the overpayment. And I use an online service that sends postcards in ridiculous sizes, figuring that'll be my escalation strategy. The first of the next month, I get a call from the apartment company's regional manager. After introducing himself, the next 2 minutes were the most sincere, oh my god, we made a mistake, please don't do this, we'll never contact you again, apology that anyone could have hoped for. I stopped the mail and I never heard from him again. Did I spend several hours on MC for 2 cents? Yes. Was it worth it? Absolutely. Wow, that's so funny. Why haven't I been making episodes on this way sooner? Yeah, the fact that they were so difficult about this for no reason is hilarious, but also kind of sad. That was so fun to read. I moved out and took everything. It became apparent to me last week that my roommates were trying to drive me out of the house to get one of their boyfriends in on my lease. When I told them I wanted to stay, they started staging incidents and messes around the house so they could yell at me for them, and it all came to a head when they called a meeting with me 2 days ago. One of them had to hold the other back as she screamed at me that she hated me and I was not welcome in the building. They proceeded to tell me that I contributed nothing to the house and wasted their space, and they gotten in with the landlady and convinced her not to renew my lease in June. I told them I'd talk to the landlady, and when they said that they were the heads of the house, I laughed and went on with my day. I spoke to the landlady and she acknowledged that they were all out of hand, and while she had given them the power not to renew my lease, she also said I could move out whenever and not pay for a single day that I wasn't there. So yesterday, when the roommates both left to visit family, their sisters, I immediately called everyone I knew and I vacated the house and everything I owned. I took the curtains, the rugs, all the cat toys, and even the cat tower that I made with my mum. I took all of their things off my shelves and other furniture and I stacked them in the middle of the now nearly empty living room. I snapped pictures of everything, handed the keys to the landlady, and immediately left. They won't be back to the house until tomorrow. I've blocked them on everything so I won't get any angry messages, but I'm sure their faces will be priceless when they come home to a half-empty house with hundreds of dollars in storage and furniture gone. So much for me not contributing anything to the house. Now I actually don't. They also have to find someone else to take up the lease until boyfriend can move in when June comes around, or they have to pick up my rent. Feels pretty good. Wow, yeah, and fair enough as well. Good on you for not putting up with that crap and getting out of there. Like, what's that? You're gonna treat me like this? Okay, bye. Boss says if you're 1 minute late, I'm docking 15 minutes from your time. Gets mad when I don't work the 15 minutes that I was docked for free. I posted this in another subreddit and I got told to try it here too. This happened about 4 years ago. I do construction and we start fairly early. Boss got tired of people walking in at 6:05 or 6:03 when we start at 6, even though he was a few minutes late more consistently than any of us were. So he said, if you aren't standing in front of me at 6 o'clock when we start, then I'm docking 15 minutes from your time for the day. The next day, I accidentally forgot my tape measure in my car and I had to walk back across the job site to grab it. Made it inside at 6. Boss chewed me out and told me that he was serious yesterday and docked me 15 minutes. So I took all of my tools off right there and I sat down on a bucket. He asked me why I wasn't getting to work and I said, I'm not getting paid until 6:15, so I'm not doing any work until 6:15. I enjoy what I do, but I don't do it for free. He tried to argue with me about it until I said, if you're telling me to work without paying me, then that's against the law. You really want to open the company and yourself up to that kind of risk? Maybe I'm the kind to sue, maybe not. But if you keep on telling me to work after you docked my time, then we're gonna find out one way or another. He shut up pretty quickly after that and everyone else saw me do it and him cave. So now they weren't gonna take his crap either. Over the next few days, guys that would have been 1 or 2 minutes late just texted the boss, hey, sorry boss, I would have been there at 6:02 and gotten docked, so I'll see you at 6:15 and I'll get to work then. And then sat in their cars until 6:15 and came in when their time started. So between people doing what I did or just staying in their cars instead, he lost a ton of productivity and morale because he decided that losing 15 minutes of productivity per person and feeling like a big man was better than losing literally 1 or 2 minutes of productivity, even though everyone stands around BSing and getting material together for the day until about 10 past anyway. After a few weeks of that, he got chewed out by his boss over the loss of productivity and how bad the doc timesheets were looking and reflecting poorly on him as a leader because we were missing deadlines over it, and it showed that he doesn't know how to manage his people. And then suddenly his little self-implemented policy was gone and we all worked like we were supposed to and caught back up fairly quick. Worker solidarity for the win. Not one person took his crap and they worked that time for free after he tried to swing his weight around them. But obviously I was the target after that and only made it 2 more months before it stacked up enough BS reasons to get away with firing me after I called in a few days in a row after my mum fell and I took off work to take care of her and monitor her for a while during the day. I'm kind of upset with myself that I haven't been making videos on this subreddit. This is so fun. Can't remove the charge? Well, I'll just use it then. In the early 2000s when I first moved out on my own, I rented from a complex that charged you for assigned parking. It was an upcharge of $25 a month. If you didn't get assigned parking, you would have to fight for a space on the street. My apartment was in the back of the complex and I was getting over a recent knee and ankle injury, so I opted for paid parking that was relatively close to my door. My car was a junker, 3 years older than I am, but it ran semi-okay and the heater worked. As a newly minted adult, I was happy to have it. About 3 months into my lease, my car went to the great scrap heap in the sky. I'd gotten used to the local transit system and I discovered a nearby store that would drop off groceries for me. This was long before Walmart and other stores started doing it, so it was cheaper than figuring out a month's supplies on the bus, so I opted not to replace the car and utilized the bus pass that my work reimbursed me for. I went to my leasing office and I told him I no longer needed the space and would you please remove the extra charge from my bill. The manager at the desk was new and had never been asked that before. She promised to look into it and let me know. I was naive and I figured it would be gone from next month. Nope, it was still there. I paid all but the parking space and I called up the complex. Same girl. She said that she was awaiting word from higher ups and offered me a credit for the charge as a one-time courtesy. I reminded her that I no longer owned a car. I hadn't just changed my mind. I told her that the space had been empty for close to a month now and that I wasn't utilizing it. She said she understood, loud and clear, and would get it sorted by next month. 3 days before rent was due, she finally got back to me. Apparently it was in my lease and couldn't be removed without breaking the lease and signing a new one. Even if I didn't move out, the lease breaking and initiation fees would be charged to me and my rent would go up to the new current market value. This would be over $1,000, so not an option for someone freshly out on their own. I kept the parking space on the lease. 3 weeks later, I was reviewing my lease to get the phone number for maintenance and I noticed the clause for the parking space. Essentially, I could park a motorcycle or a scooter such as a Vespa, a car, a truck, an SUV or a trailer in the space. Gears were turning. For me to be in compliance, I had to have wheels on everything parked in my space. So I went to my local version of Craigslist and I found a wheeled container similar to a shipping container. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth every cent. The complex offered storage sheds as an upcharge too. Being fresh out of high school, I didn't have much to store. My neighbor though did. I put a lock on the unit and offered it to my neighbor for half the cost of a shed, $35 a month. He was able to move his stuff out of his storage unit where he was paying over $100 a month and the container was available 24/7, 365. He was happy for the arrangement and paid several months in advance. The complex put several tow stickers for out of compliance on the trailer, but I called the tow company and I faxed them a copy of the lease where it says trailers are allowed. The container was registered with the county as a utility trailer, so there's nothing they could do. They tried to fine me for improper parking, but again, I had proof I was within my rights. They even offered to remove the charge for parking on my lease if I'd relocate the container. With what my neighbor was paying, I could cover my water bill every month, so I declined. I stayed for 18 months and I sold the trailer to my neighbor when I moved out. He had to rent a car to relocate it to his assigned space, but he said it was worth a couple of $100 that he paid. He ended up saving over $1,000 a year renting it from me. Other neighbors even started bringing in their own containers too, even if it meant getting a second space. Sheds were being vacated at such a large volume that the complex tried to give them away at 6 months free. Few took them up on it. The complex amended the new leases to exclude trailers, but could do nothing about those that already had them in the spot. Instead of moving out and giving notice, renters would reassign their lease to new people so they could be grandfathered into the trailer clause. I drove by the facility 2 years or so after I moved out, going to a friend's for Thanksgiving. The complex had been sold to a new owner and they changed their name, but wouldn't you know, there were still about a dozen wheeled shipping containers parked in the lot. And it says here, to avoid confusion, the trailer was small. Think of 4 dog kennels in a 2x2 configuration. You could fit a table and chairs in there, but you'd scrape the ceiling. It was in rough shape. Wow, that's so funny. Yeah, like this comment says, yeah, I love how it's rules are rules until it suddenly, wait, sir. Yeah, like, hey, you started this. Military spouse accuses me of cheating on my husband with my husband. I've been living in Japan for a little over 2 years with my husband. He was born here and we decided to move to his hometown. It's a small city, but there's enough to do without getting bored. I'd describe us as an AMWF couple. Asian man, white female, for those who don't know. And it can feel like we're some sort of rare shiny Pokemon as AMWF in rural Japan. Lots of staring and occasional secret pictures, or even small chats if an old lady is brave enough to approach us. It can feel uncomfortable eating at a restaurant because kids will turn around in their seat and they'll stare at us the whole time with an open fish mouth. Coincidentally, there's a small US military base located in this city. The closer you are to downtown, the more American families that you see. I'm constantly mistaken for being military by Americans and Japanese, which is understandable. Besides myself, I only know 5 other interracial marriages here. It's always locals who ask about my American husband when I'm out alone, which I respond in Japanese. My husband is Japanese and I live here, or something along those lines. Americans never ask about my marriage as they assume my spouse is American. When we're together in public, we do abnormal couples behavior such as holding hands. No, couples rarely hold hands in public, let alone say I love you. We don't go downtown too often since it's all pay to park and it's a nightmare to find a place. It was a beautiful warm day for the first time in months, but we decided to battle for a spot and walk around the shops. The crowd was heavy since the weather was great and winter was ending. The season for new American families to move here just finished, so I'm sure this was many people's first time to leisurely walk and shop outside. We find a parking spot and we made our way to the outside shops. Of course, we're holding hands and casually talking and laughing. Wow, I hear from an American woman about 10 feet behind us. You should know that a Japanese stereotype against Americans is that we're rudely and obnoxiously loud, and this wow was loud enough for me to turn my head around at the noise. She was with 2 other mums who had like 3 kids each. They were staring at me, but perhaps we just accidentally had eye contact at the right time. Seriously, another little homewrecker is doing this in public? Chill, woman, you're so loud even I can hear you. We find a table nearby at a Starbucks outside. We're enjoying our drinks when the same group of women approached us with their strollers in tow. They definitely had some sort of purpose with something to say to us. Let's call her Ona, woman in Japanese. Excuse me, but you need to keep whatever you're doing in your messed up home. Doing that in public in front of families to see is disgusting and immoral. My kids don't need to see such a bad display of marriage. Oh my god, how dare you? Me, I'm sorry, what did we do? You know exactly what you're doing. She points to my wedding ring. Me, no, I don't. Good lord, does your husband know about this? Is he on a ship right now? That's so like a dependopotamus. Her friends laugh. In case you don't speak military, a dependopotamus is slang for a military wife who stays at home all day, doesn't clean, uses their spouse as an ATM, and looks like Jabba the Hutt. It dawns on me, she thinks I'm a military spouse and I'm cheating on my American husband. I started laughing because she's suggesting that I'm cheating on my husband with my husband. Me, this is my spouse. I'm actually not part of the military community and I have a Japanese visa. Ona looks at my significant other up and down. The 2 women behind her apologize, but they don't believe it. No one would voluntarily want to live in this little town. Nice lie, but you're not representing the military community. You make all of us wives look like blanks. Who's your husband and what's his rank? Also, I need your dependent ID. My husband is a high rank, so he'll make sure that your husband is aware of your infidelity. This is revolting. I can't believe people even think they can do this. She pulls out her phone to probably type my response. I'm offended since this is actually a nice place to live and very open to foreigners. Me, look, my husband's real name is Ray, not his real name. I don't want to reveal personal information, and he's sitting right here. I'm not going to show you my military ID since I don't have one, and you're not the police. As proof, you can obviously see our wedding bands match, and here's a picture. I show her my phone screen, which is of us in traditional Japanese clothes on our wedding day. Her eyes become huge at the picture. Her two friends and their spawn have already started walking away. Ona, why are you in a relationship with him? You should be in a normal relationship and start having a family with American kids. You should mind your own business. Are you joking? She says some other statements which I consider racist against the Asian race. It's so ironic because we're in Japan and she's fussing about me being married to a Japanese man. My husband has been so quiet throughout the whole exchange and says to me that we should go. I agree and stood up. Me, stop. The things you're saying are extremely offensive. I was part of the military community myself some years ago, and what you're doing is against spousal conduct. She smirked. Go ahead and tell people what I did then. My high-ranking husband is an E7, and everything will be swept under the rug no matter what happens. You can't touch me. So that's what I did. Note, this is a small military community. Someone does something minor and it's talked about between wives like chickens. Later that day, I run into my friend who works on the base, and she's well known in the community for being one of the main event coordinators. I don't miss this chance to comply with Honor's demand and explain to my friend about the exchange and how it made my husband extremely uncomfortable with her remarks. She asked me if this person looked like so-and-so, which I said yes. My friend rolls her eyes. Friend, she just arrived a couple of months ago and is already causing problems with rumors and drama. Looks like we have a racist too. I'll make sure what she said is passed on. It's been half a year later and I didn't hear anything about Honor again since I distanced myself from making military friends. I've only been in my new city for a little over 2 years, and I've experienced more drama from military families than I have my whole high school career. That is until now. Last week I ran into my friend who's getting ready to leave back to the US. We had a little discussion about her moving and my family planning, and dropped a bombshell. Friend, do you remember Honor, who accused you of cheating on your non-existent military spouse and called your husband a racist name? Me, of course, I haven't heard anything from her since. Friend, well, I mentioned we were already having problems with her not long after she got here. I told my boss that there's a person who's been bothering and threatening civilians and asking for IDs, which isn't allowed for someone with her status. My boss was extremely interested after I mentioned her name because Honor was scheduled for an interview in my department. I suggested that we look at her social media accounts from her past behavior because we don't tolerate racism. It was easy to find her Twitter and Facebook, particularly Facebook since we have many mutual friends. Her SNS was shocking. While she set her Facebook to private, her Twitter was littered with malicious tweets and retweets. This included racism slang for many nationalities, colorful language, and using her husband's military rank to bully others. She made it very clear that she wants to see her current city burn to the ground. And why would anybody want to learn Japanese since it sounds terrible? We printed some of the more extreme things that she posted, and we still invited her to the interview. Oh, and did I mention that my boss is Japanese? So she comes into the interview, which I was a part of. I asked 3 good things about her, which she said: dependent, gets things done, and friendly. My boss just looked at her for a second before he pulled out her tweets and asked her to explain how she can friendly serve the community if she hates it so much. Honor was floored and said someone hacked into her account, despite there being at least 3 years of slanderous tweets. We thanked her for coming and said that we can't accept an employee with this conduct. As far as I know, she's still not working because some spouses found her Twitter not long after the interview, and it was shared in all departments. No one is touching her application now, so all of this was discovered because I told you about her accusations. Friend, yeah, oh, and she's kind of an outcast socially right now because she cheated on her husband a couple of months ago. There you have it, folks. Because one person couldn't mind their own business, they lost a potential job and had their social media exposed. Super ironic since she became the dependopotamus and adulterer, the same thing that she was accusing me of. No way. I'm genuinely lost for words. They had the audacity to come up to you and accuse you of this stuff and jump to all sorts of wild conclusions. And not only were they doing what they were accusing you of doing, but them being awful to you messed up so much stuff for them. That's bloody incredible. Okay, I feel like that's a really good introduction to this subreddit. That was so fun. I'm so hyped to make more episodes on this. But yeah, for now, let's read something wholesome. When I was in year 5, I did a speech on clumsiness for my school's public speaking contest. And to be clever, I tripped on my way to the stage, dropping my note cards all over the place. But then I pulled the real ones out of my pocket saying, if you're going to to be clumsy. It pays to be prepared. Everyone lost their crap and I got second place. Wow, that's so funny. And the fact that you thought about doing something like this at that young of an age, that's amazing. This girl was motivating people at the gym. Final lap. And the funny thing is, somebody seeing this and laughing and smiling at it probably actually helped them a bit when they were running. That's so cute. Boston College has a policy that says employees' kids can attend for free as long as they get accepted. One janitor had 5 kids who all got in, saving nearly $700,000 in tuition. That's amazing. A bloody family of absolute legends. And once again, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did, you know what to do. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And also let me know down below if you want to see more malicious compliance. And the comment of the day goes to Aria4451. Another day of work and another day starting with a Vincey video. Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you for watching the videos. I hope you enjoyed the video you watched and I hope you had a wonderful day at work. Your support means so much to me, guys. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for more and I hope to see you then. Make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!